You said that you perhaps had a quarrel with women losing value as they age.
Yeah.
Women losing options as they age. And you wrote, men wanting younger women, not always true. Younger doesn't necessarily mean hotter.
Mm-hmm.
Our prime doesn't end strictly at 30.
Yeah, I think you can extend it a little bit past 30. It's not like 33-year-olds and a 30-year-old are wildly different in looks. I mean, I always pretty much look the same. I think it does matter how you take care of yourself. I would say if you gained like 30 pounds or something like that at 33, yeah, you're going to look a little worse. But overall, you age pretty slowly as long as you take care of yourself.
But I'm a bit and remind me, your question to the looks or the aging question.
Yeah.
You said you're 42?
40.
Or 40. Mm-hmm. You said better looking at 50 or no?
No.
But you said 30 was your prime area.
25 to like 37, I think was pretty solid. Yeah, okay. Pretty similar.
And do you feel like your options, your options have increased as you've gotten older?
I think it's pretty much been the same.
Yeah. No changes? Like, did men do more shit for you when you were 20 versus now at 40?
I think I tolerated things I shouldn't have. And I think that just has to do with, like, my previous standards and, just the things I tolerated.
Okay.
So.
And you said men wanting younger women, not always true. I mean, I don't disagree. There are men who...
There's a lot of younger men that date older women. I hear about it a lot. And they're in relationships with them too. I've seen it. I mean, my ex-boyfriend was 25 when I was 37.
Yeah, I don't dispute that it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think, generally speaking, typically, you think would you agree that men tend to prefer younger women?
Yeah, generally, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't know if there's much dispute there. Younger doesn't necessarily mean hotter.
Yeah. I think it depends. Like I said, it depends on how you take care of yourself. Just because... Can
I ask you a question, though?
Yeah.
Like, when it comes to, like, the biological reality of having kids, though...
Yeah.
Even if we just remove looks from it, don't you think men are going to make it... Like, if you're a 40-year-old guy who wants to have kids, don't you think he's more likely to try to pursue, like, a woman in her early 30s or late 20s when it comes to kids?
Maybe.
You can still have kids at 40, just to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
But the fertility, it does start decreasing.
It does. I think it depends. I don't know. I don't know what men are thinking. I don't know if they look at me and think, oh, she probably can't have kids. I don't know if they're making that assumption. I never heard that before.
I don't think they would say it to your face.
Yeah, so I don't really know.
They don't. They're not going to assume things that way.
Right.
So this is not it's not a thing which we're mentally going through. The idea is just when you're talking about attraction, youthful features are obviously going to be more attractive because that's correlated with fertility. That's exactly why you would understand attraction to be the way it was. Obviously, from even an evolutionary standpoint, we wouldn't be attracted to things that we didn't want to reproduce with, right? That wouldn't make any sense. So if men are looking at younger women as being more attractive, likely it's tied into fertility, right? That makes sense.
That might be.
We're not like cognitively doing it. In other words.
Yeah, like it's not a conscious thing.
Right.
It's just kind of like, yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, just because you're 22 doesn't necessarily mean you're automatically hot. Not everyone's good looking. You can be an ugly 22-year-old man or woman.
But we would make the concession here that that is indeed true.
Right.
That not every 22-year-old is hot.
Right.
But can you make the concession that there's a hell of a lot more hot 22-year-olds than there are 42-year-olds?
Probably.
Yeah, then we're not even arguing anything at this point, right? You're just essentially saying that youthful fertility is attractive to men.
Have you frozen your eggs?
No.
No.
All right, guys, read 100 TTS. All right, so let's get into. I'm going to try to
real quick. I just wonder if I could finish very quickly this exchange. I was just wondering something. There's a theory which is out there because you and I were just discussing younger younger women versus older women, and you said, not necessarily do I think that men would be going after the younger woman over the older woman. Prominent theory which is out there is that women who are single and who are in their late 30s or early 40s often say this because they're trying to root out competition by shaming men, by saying men shouldn't be attracted to women who are younger than they are, especially by a significant age gap, because they actually want to secure those men for themselves. Would you say that there's any merit to that?
I mean, I'm definitely not shaming men. I mean, I'm always younger than someone. There's like 50-year-olds that are sometimes interested, so you're always younger than someone. I'm not shaming men for liking younger women at all.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't see a problem with that, right? Like
with what?
If there was a 22-year-old woman who was dating, let's say, a 44-year-old man, you don't see that.
So the age gaps.
Here we go.
The age.
Gave me the ick face.
Yeah, wait, let me explain.
Gave me the ick face. I got a feeling you're gonna have a problem with it.
No. I don't have a problem with age gap relationships. I just think like women 25, 24, I would say 24 and under. I think it's a little creepy when men in their 40s are going for like a 20-year-old. I think that.
What about men in their 30s?
So hang on. 30s? What you just said was.
30s is a little better.
You did shaming of men.
Huh?
So you literally just contradicted yourself because you're shaming men. You're saying if men go after women who are, let's say they're 44, they go after a woman who's 24, right?
Yeah.
That's within your criteria. Mm-hmm. They're 20 years younger. You are now shaming those men. You say because
that's
creepy.
Extreme.
Listen to the word. Hang on. Here's the verb. It's creepy, right? Why shouldn't we assume that the reason that you think that is because if men who are in that age bracket who would be a prime target for you, you're just super jealous that they're going for the 24-year-old? Why shouldn't that be assumed?
No, definitely not jealous. I think that women that young.
And what makes it creepy?
Because I think women that young are very vulnerable and naive. They don't know how to look for red flags. They don't know how to discern. And I think they're very prone and vulnerable to being taken advantage of, especially by an older man. And I've seen it before. Hang
on, at one point at a time. My counter to your first point is that I don't think 40-year-old women do any better. I don't think 40-year-old single women do any better when it comes to singling out red flags and this, or they wouldn't be single to begin with.
No, yes. I'm much better at discerning red flags now than I was when I was younger. That's for sure.
Then why would the 24-year-old be able to secure a man and secure his assets when the 40-year-old single woman has not been able to if they're so great at figuring out what's a red flag and what isn't?
How do you know there's a 24-year-old that secured a 40-something-year-old man? Like, what?
Because it's entailed in the hypothetical. Single 40-year-old women upset because 40-year-old man going out with 24-year-old woman. This means 24-year-old woman has secured man. You say, no, I just think it's creepy because she can't make the decisions on red flags. But it's like, but then why would you be single at 40 if you could?
Because there's not enough men that are mentally mature enough. And I haven't found a man that doesn't have any sort of toxicity or emotional immaturity. If they're not
mentally mature enough, then shouldn't they be with younger, more immature women?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But not 44-year-olds.
Well, wait, what? That makes no sense. Well, that makes no sense. Like, if they're not mature enough to be with a woman of your caliber at 40, then why wouldn't they be with somebody who was more mentally on their level? Younger.
I'm not saying like the 44-year-olds emotionally necessarily mature. I just think they have more awareness and they're aware of the fact that they're easier to control a younger woman, easier to manipulate her. She probably doesn't have really any self-respect or standards, and she's just more vulnerable to being taken advantage of. That's all I'm saying.
So you would advise those younger women not to go out with those older men?
I would tell them to be careful. Just be careful.
So then what that does is, of course, it opens the pool up for more of those men in that age bracket for you. It still sounds like jealousy, but
definitely
also,
not.
But there's a second component to it as well, which is, why is it that a man would not prefer to have a woman that didn't have a 40-year-old single woman's baggage?
What baggage do I have? I'm never married. I don't have any kids, no divorces.
I'm not talking about you specifically. We're talking about a hypothetical 40-year-old woman, not you.
Why would a 40-something-year-old want? You're saying why?
Well, here, I'll explain. You agree with me, the older you get, the more baggage you end up with, right?
Typically,
right? So then why would it not stand to reason that if a man could secure a young, very fertile woman, and she didn't have a lot of baggage, that would be preferable to an older woman who was not as fertile and had a lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's your preference, if you want someone who doesn't have kids, then find someone that doesn't have kids. I mean, I don't disagree with that. I just think the age gap of like 20 years is pushing it on any end. Like a 60-year-old with a 40-year-old, like me with a 60-year-old, I think that's pushing it.
But I thought the 40-year-old knew how to identify all the red flags.
They do. I just think it's extremely...
Then what would be the problem with her getting a 60-year-old? If clearly there couldn't be very many red flags.
What do you have in common
that's
with
your
a
whole
60-year-old?
objection, right?
Can I say something?
What do you have in common with a 60-year-old? I just think that you're not on the
What
same...
does anybody have in common with anybody? You know what? It's
Not
really
on the
funny.
same page.
Women bring this up a lot, right? They bring up the idea of like, what do you have in common with X? I sat down with my wife the other day, and you know what's really funny? I've been married to her for an awful long time. We don't fucking hardly have shit in common. Like, I play video games all the time, right? And like, I like to play Red Dead Redemption 2, where I'll go around and I'll like grab the feminist and I'll drag her on the train tracks and let a train hit her. You know what I mean? And then I'll pull out double 6 shooters and just unload them into that like feminist corpse in the game, right? My wife doesn't like that shit. And you know what else she does? She does her nails all the time. And you know what? I don't do nails, and I don't give a shit about nails. And she'll talk to me about it. She'll be like, what do you think of my nails? I don't fucking care about your nails. I don't give a shit, right? In fact, the more we started going through it, we realized, actually, we don't really have all that much in common, ultimately.
So,
why is that even a problem?
I think that when you're like 20 years age gap on either side, like women going for like a older man or a man going for a younger woman, I think there's like an agenda at hand. I just don't think it's authentic. I think there's an agenda.
Yeah, I think there is an agenda at hand. I think that she probably likes him because he's distinguished and
has
probably
money.
has a lot of resources,
Right.
and he likes her because she's young and fertile. What does that have to do with stuff in common, though? Like, what does that have to do with stuff in common? Like, when you really think about it, what do you have in common with most men?
Well,
Like, here, let me give you an example. Can you tell me, what's a jigsaw? What is it?
I think it's a tool.
Yeah, what does it do?
It probably slices something.
Yeah, like, no idea, right? No clue.
We don't need to have...
If you had to, hang on, just a real quick question, right? When it came to a pistol, let's say just like a normal semi-automatic handgun, could you actually walk me through the process of loading it?
Yes.
Yeah, I have one.
Go ahead, walk me through the process.
You put it in like the little mag. You put the bullets in and you push them down and you put the next bullet in and you do it and until you're to the top and then you push it in and there you go.
And there you go.
I know how to load a handgun.
You got it. Yeah, I mean, you got this down pat, right?
But that's...
What about the fact, like, can you tell me what your favorite war movie is?
No, I don't think.
No,
I don't think
right,
that.
right. No, because you don't have
Let's
fucking
find a
shit
way,
in common with men. You got
Let's find a way
nothing
to
in
get
common with men. Nothing.
On the
How about
commonality
this?
thing.
How about last one?
I just
last
think
one.
you're in different places in your life. Like young girls probably still want to party, not have a family. So what's a 40-something doing starting a family with a 20-something-year-old? I mean, some
Yeah,
of
what's he
them.
doing starting it with a 40-year-old when she doesn't watch war movies and he loves them? She don't
That's-
talk about Rome.
things
and he
like that
loves
don't really
Rome.
matter,
She don't
though.
talk about history and loves history.
That doesn't-
She doesn't play video games. He loves video games. What the
doesn't
fuck do
really-
they have in common?
Those little things still are not important enough.
Well, then what is the thing? What is the commonality that we're looking for here? What are the things in common that are so meaningful that a 40-year-old's going to have with a 40-year-old man that a 25-year-old woman's not? What is it?
I just think it's too big.
Right? No, give me the thing. Give me the thing.
You said commonality. Answer the
What
question.
is it?
I just think you're different places in your life.
Yeah,
you
can
have
give me
different
what the
interests in
commonality is?
how you want to
What
live your
is the
life.
thing that
And
the
you got to
40-year-old
answer his question.
I think the young women are not going to want to settle down.
Yeah,
Some of them
that's
do.
not answer his
Some
question.
do.
Answer his question.
Just
Listen,
said
here's my question again.
lifestyle.
I'll give you my hang on. I'll give you my question again.
Lifestyle.
What is actually the thing we're looking for that's a commonality between two 40-year-old people versus a 40-year-old man with a 25-year-old woman? What is the thing that the 40-year-old woman's going to have in common when the 25-year-old isn't? What is that thing?
I just think they have more. I just think they're a little bit wiser and more intelligent, have more life
But what's
experience.
the thing they have in common, though?
The
that the 40-year that they
conversation,
hang on.
like-
What's the thing the 40-year-old's going to have in common with him? The 25-year-old's not. What is that thing?
just the ability to have a mature and insightful and deep conversation. I
25-year-olds are incapable of mature and insightful
not
conversations.
necessarily,
That's
but
a new one.
most of the guys I
So
talk
all the
to,
25-year-old women who are at that table who are 25 and under are incapable of having insightful conversations?
it's not. It's just that I don't think they're as wise as an older woman would be. I just don't think.
Yeah, but that's not talking about what is in common. What's the common thing? What is the thing that they need
It's
to have
just
in
mentally,
common?
they're not on the same level. Like, I don't think the conversations are going to be as deep and as quality as being
What if
with
he doesn't
someone.
give a shit? Like, do you realize that most of the time
Then
men
it's
don't give
surface
a shit
level.
about having some deep conversation?
Well, then
right?
you're
Like,
looking
what-
for something surface level, and I'm looking for something deeper than that.
Why does it? Hang on. Why would it be surface level that you don't enjoy deep conversations? Why is that surface level?
It's surface level. If you don't care about emotional connection, you build an emotional connection by having conversations and being vulnerable with each other. If you erase that from the whole thing, then why are you together? Just doing things for each other and just having fun? And I mean,
It sounds
there's
like
no
a thing a
emotional connection.
25-year-old. So by your criteria, all a 25-year-old would need to do is be emotionally vulnerable with this guy, and him emotionally vulnerable with her, and they have deep conversations, and then voila, problem solved.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the youngest guy you dated?
25.
What did you guys have in common?
The gym.
Wait, you literally are in age gap relationships. You date younger men.
Yeah,
What are you
and
complaining
I made.
about? Are you a predator? Are you grooming the younger men?
No, because that wasn't.
Creepy,
That
no,
wasn't.
it's
I
very
said if
creepy,
it's
though.
20 years, that's an extreme.
Oh, okay.
12 years is not. I don't see a problem with 12 years.
So
wait.
it's because you're engaged in one that's 12 years, right?
I'm
That's
not
awful
engaged in
convenient,
one.
isn't it?
I'm not engaged
awful
in one.
convenient that you
Well,
draw
there
the
was a-
threshold.
there was
Hang on,
a-
isn't it? Hang on.
Private chat.
Isn't it awful convenient that you draw the threshold past the gap that you currently are in? Isn't that awful convenient?
No,
How about-
20 years is pretty extreme. I said 20
12
years is
pretty
extreme. It's really not.
Well,
think
wait
I-
a second. How can I expect that a person who's 12 years your junior can have a deep, insightful conversation with you and do a long walk on the beach and be emotionally vulnerable to you, but somebody who's 25 couldn't be? Why? Why should I assume that?
We had some pretty good conversations, but ultimately, I didn't think he was mentally mature enough. He was angry, and he just was unhealed, is what I noticed.
Literally, all the arguments that you forwarded could just be forwarded towards your relationship. You're 40, right? You were dating a 25-year-old, or when were you dating him?
When I was 37,
37. So it was a 12-year.
12 years.
So the exact same arguments that you forwarded when it comes to men dating younger women could be forwarded in your case as well. How about this? A 30-year-old dating a 20-year-old. Objections there?
It's not as bad. I still think girls under 24 are a little bit more vulnerable to being taken advantage
Wait, just
of.
the women though, like not the men. Only the younger women. So how about this proposition? Women should not be able to vote until they're 25. Are you in favor of that?
I think they should raise the voting age a little bit. I don't think they're
Just for
smart.
women, though.
I don't think
Just for the women.
I think for everybody.
Oh,
I don't
why?
think anyone's educated enough or intelligent enough, not wise enough. I think
Okay,
they're
so
still kids making these big
Yes,
decisions.
I agree with this. No
I also
voting for
agree.
anybody until 30. I can get behind that.
Not that high, just maybe like 25 or something.
Okay, but
Yeah, no. If you're not wise enough to be able to have long walks on the beach and deep emotional conversations, I don't think I want you voting in politics. I think that you need to at least be able to be emotionally vulnerable, and you need to at least be able to have these deep emotional connections with people before I want you to be voting for who my next president is.
I don't know why
Right?
you're making
I mean,
fun of having an emotional connection with someone. That's very
because
important.
it's meaningless. It doesn't mean anything.
It's
when you say
meaningless?
deep emotional connection, it's
Hold on.
it's
Help
kind
me
of
out,
bizarre.
Joy.
Bullshit.
That is bullshit.
wait, so hold on.
No,
You
well,
can't
no,
surface
have
level.
an emotional
Not
connection
bullshit.
with a
Listen,
woman, or it's not
hang
going to
on.
last.
Let me explain. I'll explain it. So that, and I think you'll actually agree with me. Let's say there's Bob and Jane, and Bob and Jane, right out of high school, they get married. And Bob, he's a mechanic, and Jane, she's a stay-at-home mom. And well, they have a rough go of it for the first 20 years. They barely even talk to each other. Jane has a lot of kids, that's true, right? And they deeply, deeply love each other. But you know, Bob, he's not really the talkative type. He's pretty quiet, pretty stoic, doesn't really say very much. You know, and it's just kind of through the little things that Jane knows that Bob loves her. He doesn't forget the anniversaries, you know, but they don't say much at anniversary dinner. He doesn't forget much about Jane. He loves her. He even talks her up to other people, right? But they just don't ever really have these deep conversations and the idea of emotional vulnerability. Are you saying Bob doesn't love Jane?
Not necessarily.
No.
No, okay,
not
right. So then the idea of a deep emotional connection doesn't mean anything because they do have a deep emotional connection. They just have it in a different way than the deep emotional connection you want.
I disagree.
I gotta move things on a little bit here. So, couple questions. 30-year-old man dating 20-year-old. Do you object?
It's pushing it. I don't know.
Why is it pushing it?
Like I said, I think the girls under 24 are very young, have no life experience, they're just vulnerable to getting taken advantage of. I think they're a little bit naive.
Wouldn't they be just as vulnerable to being taken advantage of by a guy their same age? Just to be clear,
I don't think so. I don't think those men are as smart as the older men who are much more aware of what they're doing.
Yeah, but I can make an opposite argument saying that those older men are like more emotionally mature. So they're less likely to be inclined to be manipulative.
Emotional maturity depends on the person. It definitely does not depend on age. I know that for a fact.
So then I'll just apply that to women. Their maturity depends on their age. So an 18-year-old woman could be, maturity only, what?
Wait, what are you saying?
You said no. You said, it depends on the person. Okay, great.
Yeah.
It depends on the woman too. It depends on the specific woman. So an 18-year-old woman could be more emotionally mature than a 25-year-old. But you would say, no, you can't date the 18-year-old woman.
Could be. It's just that I highly doubt 18 to 20-year-olds can discern, and because they don't have enough life experience and relationship experience to notice the red flags. Like,
so what you're saying, as people get older, they get more emotional intelligence?
Not necessarily. What I'm saying is it's easier to discern and look for red flags and figure out if a person is right for you or not as you get older and get more experience with dating.
This would apply to men too.
You have to experience with dating to know what to look for. And when you're 18 to 20, you don't have that much experience with dating to know what to look out for, to know what's right for you. And
at what age?
18
I'm sorry, by the time, hold on, just to be clear, most women who are going to college, their first freshman quarter semester, they done already fucked like 10 dudes. What are you talking about?
You're making assumptions, but okay.
Bro,
I can actually give you the average of how many partners that women have when they get out of college. On average, it's not low, right? It's not low. So, I mean, it is true it's an assumption. I'll grant you that. Mm-hmm. It just seems like it's a fair assumption to make.
Okay.
So the thing is, though, I would like to just kind of ask you this. Let's say Bob meets Jane, and this time Jane's 25, Bob's 40, okay? And Bob really, really loves Jane, and here's why he loves her. He loves her because she doesn't have a lot of baggage, and she's beautiful, and she really doesn't say very much or challenge his authority. Is Bob a predator?
No, I said 24 and under, so I don't see a problem with a man.
Okay, she's 24, and he is 44, 20 years younger. Is Bob a predator?
I can't assume. You never know. Could be a good guy. I just think.
No, here's the only criteria
he's more likely to take advantage of her.
I'm giving you the specific criteria. He loves her for these 3 reasons. She's really hot, okay? She has no baggage, and she concedes to his authority. That's why he loves her. Those 3 reasons.
I don't think those are enough things to love someone.
Yeah, is Bob a predator?
I wouldn't. That's not enough to fall in love, in my opinion. There's so many more deeper.
He's definitely in love with her. And she has her own reasons for loving him back, but he definitely is in love with her. He just only has those 3 reasons why he's in love with her. Is Bob a predator?
Borderline. I don't know.
Borderline, okay.
Borderline a predator?
It's just a little off for me. It's just a little bit too much of an age gap.
What should Bob love her for?
I think I believe in developing an emotional connection, and I believe that when you fall in love with someone when you are vulnerable with each other and you learn about each other and you love them through their flaws.
What should Bob love her for? So he has an emotional connection the same way that you're talking about. It's just that through this emotional connection, he's discovered he really just loves her for those 3 reasons. What should Bob love her for instead of those 3 things? What should
Her
Bob love her
character. Is she a supportive wife? Is she loyal? Does she take care of him? Is she, did I say supportive? Like, it's just.
What if she's none of those things?
It's
and
not
Bob
just
still
about
loves her?
looks. It's not just
Well,
about
wait.
looks.
If what if she's really not any of those things, and Bob still loves her? How could Bob be wrong about who Bob loves?
Well, it's hypothetical. I don't know. I don't.
Right. The thing is like the criteria becomes very arbitrary very quickly when you're talking about why you fall in love with a person. Right? It becomes very arbitrary, very made up, very kind of just by whatever our own intuition is. If Bob actually loves this woman, why does it fucking matter why?
I just think those are superficial reasons to fall in love. Like, I don't think that's true love. I don't
Would
think
you
that's
date a guy who's shorter than you?
Isn't
Yes.
anything a superficial reason?
I have
to
dated
fall in
guys
love?
who are short.
Would
Oh,
you-
wait, I'm sorry. Roll that back.
Everything-
Shorter than me? No, I'm 5'5". No, that's too short.
Hold on. Isn't that
That's too sh-
superficial?
that's too
would you,
short.
Would you date a guy who's shorter than you?
And shorter than me? No, I'm 5'5".
Oh, okay. That's really
No.
superficial.
That I'm not in
Yeah.
love with him though.
Huh?
I'm not in love with him
What
though.
if you were
What?
though?
What?
You don't have to be in love with someone to go out with them. You don't even know them yet. You have to get to know them. So would I go
Would you
out
marry?
with someone?
Would you
who's-
marry a guy who's shorter than you?
No, because I wouldn't even go out with a guy who's shorter than me.
Okay, that's superficial.
I wouldn't be attracted
Cool.
to them.
What's wrong with that? Okay, you're superficial. So?
Whatever you find attractive is what you find attractive.
Okay, so
He's-
what if a guy is attracted
But
to
I don't.
younger women?
You can be attracted to younger women, but to fall in love with someone based on their looks is not that superficial.
Hold on. So just to be clear, it's totally okay to just fuck a young woman and never talk to her again. But if you want to have a long-term monogamous relationship and marry her,
That's
that's
out of
predatory.
bounds. That's out of line. Then.
That's out of line. You can
That's
you can
out of line.
fuck
I
her
didn't say
and never
it was
talk to her
okay
again.
to fuck her either.
But hold on, you're making a distinction as to if you just date them, that's okay.
No, wait. You're not.
What?
So
didn't
it's
say
not okay for a 24-year-old woman to fuck a 40-year-old man if she wants
I mean,
to.
it's
or a 44-year-old
legal.
man?
It's legal. I just
You think it should be
it's-
illegal though?
No, I don't think it should be.
Because then he would be a predator.
I don't think
right?
it should
If
be
was
illegal.
He's going to jail.
No,
It's
she's over the age of 18. I don't think it should be illegal.
Is he doing
It's just
something
weird.
wrong?
It's just weird.
it's weird. It's weird,
It's just
Andrew.
weird.
You know what's weird? You
Well,
won't date a guy
weird
who's
is
shorter than you.
weird.
That's weird. That's really.
I don't find that
That's weird.
attractive.
It's
Well,
weird.
when you're looking for attractiveness, it is kind of superficial. Yeah, whatever you find attractive, it is. You're basing it on looks, yes. But you're saying you're in love with someone because they're hot. That's superficial. That's
that
not
wasn't
love.
his-
That's what he said.
No, he gave other criteria.
Yeah, and they were
He gave other criteria.
surface level. They were
No, he was
surface
like,
level.
she's submissive.
Can I
That's
ask
like,
you a
Hang on. I'll just grant it.
Hold on.
Sure, he just is totally in love with her because she's hot. What the fuck is wrong with that?
That's not love.
Why,
You don't
how
fall
do
in love with
you say,
someone-
Wait, you get to determine what love is?
You don't
You're the
fall in love with
determiner of
someone.
Love?
Okay, but you're saying that you are. You're saying
No, I'm
it-
not. I'm just saying in the hypothetical, he does love her, right? But he's in love with her. And yes, it's just purely based on her looks. What has Bob done that's actually wrong here?
I don't think that's love. I think that's lust.
But you're saying that you wouldn't date a guy that's an inch shorter than you. Isn't that like kind of?
That's not. I wouldn't be in love with him because I wouldn't even go out with him.
Yeah, right, but he wouldn't even date her if she wasn't hot, so.
wait.
It's okay. I'm saying your basis for love is dependent on looks. That doesn't. I don't think that's enough to be in love.
Wait,
it's enough to be attracted.
But
not
you're
enough to be in
misrepresenting
love.
his position. His original position was he listed, look, she's really hot. Andrew, I think you said she was submissive. Maybe you worded it differently.
Yeah, so here's the 3 criteria. She's really good looking, she doesn't have any baggage, right? And she submits to his authority.
I
Those are
think
the 3 criteria.
I think
He's
that's
in love
enough.
with her.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's those.
now that's enough.
I think that criteria is enough to be interested and to want to date them and to find it very attractive. I don't think that's enough to fall in love.
I think you're looking at it like way too black and white. Like,
No.
also, just to be clear, men, we don't have laundry lists of shit that, like like y'all women who have fucking long ass lists of shit that you need, like Andrew's kind of spot on. Be submissive, be pleasant, don't have baggage, be physically attractive. Literally, that's pretty much all you need as a woman. In fact, most men are probably going, most men just
They're
be
gonna count
hot.
their lucky stars if they get that shit.
If you get just that, you get a submissive, hot woman who doesn't have trauma. That's huge.
Mega bucks.
That's
mega
it.
Bucks.
That's it.
Like the mega
Looking for the
bucks
same.
lottery that
That's
you
it.
won 5 times, right?
Now, you're trying to conflate it to there would be no other components of the relationship. I don't think that that's what Andrew's saying. He's just saying she's got
three.
those 3 things.
And that's why he's in love with her, because of those
Yeah.
3 things.
What would be wrong
alone.
with that? What would actually be wrong?
What's
with
wrong
that?
with that though? I don't like. So I don't understand. If the perspective from the man is like, these 3 things are the things that I value, and then you have those 3 things, and you're in love with that woman, and she has those 3 criteria. That's what made you fall in love with her.
It'd be
That was
part
what
of
your
it.
criteria was. Hang on, that was what your criteria was. She met him. You fell in love with her. Those are the 3 things you listed. The things about her that made you fall in love with her. How could you dispute that? Like, how could you say, Bob, that's wrong? There needs to be some fucking walk on the beach on Tuesdays, or else you don't really love her, Bob, right? Like, how can you even make that statement at that point?
I don't know. I just think falling in love requires a deeper connection than just those little things. I think that's part of it. I don't think that's enough.
You realize, like,
Well, let me ask you this. Do you believe in love at first sight?
No.
No?
No.
So, and
No, you
so
don't even
how
know
many
the person.
How many
That's
weeks
lust.
do you think? How many weeks do you think it would take, or days do you think it would take for there to at least be a baseline where there's love?
I don't. I personally think a few months. I think it takes a few months to really get to know someone. Everyone's on their best behavior the first month. Then you start to see the person around the second month. I think it takes a couple of months to really get to know them and see the real them, see them, how do they handle conflict? How do they
Now I
handle
got to talk
stress?
to my wife, because she said the day she met me, when she opened the door, right, that it was like the scene from Wayne's World where Dreamweaver was playing in the background and there was like a shining light on me, right? And she said it was love at first sight. I can't believe she fucking lied to me, Brian.
it's fucked
She
up.
lied.
It's fucked up. Really quick here, I guess final things on this. So, first off, with the 3 that Andrew gave, the majority of men, like, men will put up with a lot of bullshit. Like, men will deal with quarrelsome, nagging women. I personally don't think that's a good way to move as a man.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, if you just go off of Andrew's first one, she's hot. You might not agree with it, but a lot of men, that's it. They'll fall in love with a girl. Now, this idea that those 3 prongs that he listed that's not enough. That's like, we don't have laundry lists of things. Be submissive. Don't bring trauma, baggage into the relationship, and be physically attractive. Like, the vast majority of men are going to be totally fine with that. If you come with other stuff, fantastic. But that's it. 2 things here I want to talk about really quick. You mentioned commonality. One, I would think, aren't there people like your exact same age who you'd be completely incompatible with? So this idea that commonality is super important seems dubious.
Yes, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask a
Hold
question?
on. And I related to that though. I mean, have you ever met a guy who you have everything in common with, but you weren't like you didn't want to date him? Like, I don't think commonality in and of itself is enough to be like, oh, I really want to fuck this person. I really want to date with this person. I think you need more than just commonality. Oh, they like all my same music and movies, and we have this whatever. I can't. That's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You
Like,
find yourself a best friend.
Yeah, exactly. You found yourself a friend, but is the attraction there? So commonality, who cares about that?
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you a question. One scenario. Let's say a 19-year-old girl slides into my DMs. She contacts me. I'm 35. And she says, hey, I want to come visit you. I want to take you on a date, whatever she says. What would be wrong with me dating her?
I think it's weird. I think she's a child, even though she's
You
legally.
mean she's literally an adult?
I understand that legally she's an adult. I still view 19-year-olds as kids, men and women.
Okay, so you view them as kids.
Yeah.
But she's approached me. I'm not like hanging out at college parties and shit trying to hit on fucking 19-year-olds. No, I'm just minding my own business. She's like, hey, Brian, blah, blah, blah.
Well, hang on. First of all, I don't believe you. So here, I can demonstrate it. Are you saying that a man who's 40, who's with a 19-year-old, is a PDF file?
No, I think...
Well, then they can't be kids, can they?
No, but they're practically kids. It's too
No,
young.
they're
Okay,
literally
so
adults.
they're not kids or they are kids?
Oh my God. You're not technically a PEDO.
Okay, so then they're not kids then? Because, I mean, I'm pretty
Not
confident that we
legally.
can all agree that the definition of a PDO
Right.
is that
Right.
they go after kids, right?
Yes.
So these clearly can't be kids or else they would be PDOs.
I know.
right?
I said they're not legally kids, but I mean, they're not too far off.
Yeah, but if you thought that they were actually kids, regardless of what the law said, then these people would have to be PDOs who were with them, right?
Well, I didn't say he was a PDO. I'm just
Then
saying.
they can't be kids. Like, do you see how that works? Like, if
I view them.
have to
I
be a
view them as a
kid.
kid compared to like 30s, 40s. I still view them as a kid.
Okay.
I know they're not
Here,
legally.
let's
I
try it
just
this
think
way.
it's
you
weird.
agree with me that there's cultures out there where like 15-year-olds, it's perfectly acceptable. 15-year-olds are viewed as adults.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to agree with you right now. 15-year-olds are not fucking adults, regardless of what that culture says.
Right.
You agree with that, right?
Right.
Okay. So I would still say morally, that's a 15-year-old, and if you're doing stuff with them, you're a hebephile. You're doing something really evil and bad, right? But in this culture, right, you would have to then bite the same bullet and say, well, if they're actually kids, then at 19, these people would be some type of file, right? If you actually view them as kids.
I never once said that they are a file. I'm not calling a 40 or whatever.
Then you can't be saying that these people are kids. That's like what that is. It's loaded language to try to socially shame people. When you say that's a kid, though, and it's like, then the second I question you, I realize actually you don't view them as kids, because if you did, you would view the person who was with them as being some kind of predator, right? You'd have to. Or can you name another situation where an adult goes after a kid where they're not predators? I'd like to hear it.
No,
you
that's
can't.
just my
Yeah.
opinion.
You had something? Go ahead.
How many years is it weird? Is it 10, 15?
I said 20.
So there's actually a formula for that, which just, I'll make this quick, but it's half your age plus 7 is like your base, and then double your age minus 7 is your ceiling, typically, like socially speaking. So as a 40-year-old, your lowest, let me do quick math, would be 27. And on the high side, it would be double your age. So 80 minus 7 would be 73. So the older you get, the bigger it gets. But typically, socially, there is a formula for what that age gap should be.
I just think it's weird that you keep using, well, women aren't mature enough and XYZ, but I'm still going back to the fact that you dated someone 12 years younger than you, and it sounds like you're okay with it being men, or like, like boys, but like versus women. So I'm trying to grasp what the difference is of why in your eyes men might be mature enough to date older women, but women aren't.
I would not date a 19-year-old man. So my boyfriend at the time was 25. I said 24 and under is questionable on both sides. So my boyfriend at the time was 25. So I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah,
I don't
but then-
think the women aren't mature at 19. I just think they don't have enough dating experience to look for certain signs and red flags that they could end up, in a situation where they're controlled or...
Yeah, but they could end up in that situation with a guy who's their age.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but when they're older, they're able to discern better, so they won't end up in that
But if
situation.
they've never been in a relationship before, they haven't. There's nothing in their past to constitute that.
So if you had a son
If
and
you're
he
40
was,
and never had a relationship before, you're saying that could be the situation?
for sure, and you're
Okay.
still going to say that they have no
I mean, it's possible.
relationship background to be
It's-
able to
Alright.
identify those red
It's
flags.
possible,
Can I
but
can I just add one last thing, and I think maybe you'll agree with me on this too. That if a person is really fucking stupid when they're young, they're usually fucking stupid when they're old. And if a person has really bad discernment when they're young, they usually have really bad discernment when they're old. Now here's the opposite trend I've noticed. When young people have really good discernment, they have really good discernment when they get older. And if they're really smart when they're young, they're smart when they're
You're
older.
saying people never
So
grow
the
and
thing when you're
change.
talking about discernment, especially, right? I think it's a thing you have or you don't have. I don't think that if you're making good decisions at 23, you're not making good decisions at 43. But I definitely think if you're not making good decisions at 23, you're probably not making good decisions at 43.
so you're saying people don't grow and evolve at all?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that some parts of intuition and some parts of what is intuitive stay with you, just like intelligence. If you're stupid when you're 24, you're generally pretty stupid when you're 44. And if you have good discernment when you're 24, you generally have good discernment when you're 44. Now, what I'm saying is that those things don't go away, they get enhanced. Am I saying that you could have a 19-year-old who gets a bit smarter as she gets older? Sure. Have a bit better discernment as she gets older? Perhaps. But the thing is like, if they had good discernment to begin with, that's just going to grow. If they had bad discernment, it's probably not going to. It's probably always going to stay the same. Have you ever noticed the trend when young people are fuck-ups? When they're older, they're usually still fuck-ups, right? Have you noticed that?
I don't agree with that.
I believe in growth and change,
All right.
and learning from your past experiences. Some people don't learn, some people do. I'm one of the people who did learn.
Here, pull up the chart. All right, so this is intelligence. So the red curve is, or hold on, relationship between age and general intelligence is the blue, crystallized intelligence is the green, and fluid intelligence is the red. So you could actually kind of make an argument that a woman at 20 is more intelligent than a man at 40, with the exception of that would be the crystallized intelligence.
Which is the important part.
But you have the red, which is the fluid intelligence, which takes a nosedive at 25. It peaks at 25, but starts going down. So the red, that's the fluid intelligence. So I don't know. So sometimes younger people be more intelligent in certain metrics.
But isn't it scientifically speaking, men don't fully mature till they're 41?
41?
Correct. Yeah, look it up.
I don't know.
Look it up.
No,
It's
when you're
the
talking
frontal
about
lobe
when
development.
you're
like
talking
fake
about
news.
fully mature, are you saying that the end of their growth of their brain and everything else
Women?
is finally complete?
Correct. Women, I believe it's
Okay.
32, 33, and for men, it's 40, 41. You can look it up.
Okay, and so what do you mean by fully developed though? Just so that I understand.
Emotional maturity.
So men stop having emotional maturity past 41?
No, their brain is finally fully developed.
Okay, so then what does fully developed mean?
Having the capacity to understand everything to the highest extent that your brain can give you.
So they can never understand past 41 any higher than their understanding at 41?
No, it's, what did you say? It's the front.
It's the frontal lobe development, but it's not that old. I know that studies have
The
had it.
prefrontal lobe for women is supposed to be fully developed at 25.
25, yeah, and I think it's 28 for men. I do think that that's shifted now with a lot of the rise in technology. I think it's more like 28 and 31 based on recent studies, but it's
I
the
need to
frontal
move
lobe
things on.
development.
We have a lot to get through, guys.